If ever there was a feel-good immigrant story, Elisa Perez-Arellano is it. Coming to the United States as a teenager, she struggled and succeeded in learning English and went on to earn a bachelor's and a master's degree, and now supports her city of Grand Rapids as a social worker by day and community leader after hours. It's my great pleasure to welcome Elisa Perez-Arellano to the studio. Elisa, thank you so much for coming to share your story.
Muchas gracias for having me, Alan. It's a pleasure for me too.
El gusto es mío.
Gracias.
So tell us a little bit about growing up. You were born and grew up in Guanajuato State in Mexico. What was your youth like?
I immigrated to the United States when I was 16, so 14 years ago. And when I came to this country, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew stuff from TV and people who were going back to my country for vacation. And I was totally lost when I got here because, first of all, I did not know the language. I suffer a lot because I couldn't even express my feelings to people, and that was very painful because I felt like I just couldn't say anything, and the only thing that I was able to say was hi and bye. And that was it. So.
And no one in your family spoke English?
No one.
So it was your parents and you and?
I have a little sister and an older brother. My dad was already here in Michigan when we came to join him. And it was my mother, my sister, and my brother who came to Michigan to live with my father. So none of us knew English. Even my dad has been here for so long because he just focused on work and work and work and work to provide to his family back in Mexico. But when I came to the United States, my father told me, tú tienes que trabajar duro. No quiero que tú trabajes en una fábrica como yo, which means I want you to be successful. I want you to study. I want you to do other stuff. I don't want you to work at a factory. So I did follow that advice, and that's why I'm here at this time of my life. As you said, I got my bachelor's and my master's.
But you said it was a struggle along the way, and when you first came to school here, the kids were not very nice to you.
No, they weren't. I went to a school that was like predominantly 95% African American and probably 3% Caucasian and the 2% Latino.
Okay.
So I remember that all the non-English speaking kids were congregated in this room. We were put in this room with a bilingual teacher, with the only bilingual teacher. And she was there for us to teach us English. So we would spend probably a few hours a day with her, and after that we would just go back to regular classes. But I have no idea what was going on in my surrounding because I just couldn't understand anything. And that's why the kids made fun of me because I felt lost. I tried to keep focused on the lecture and everything, but I felt so out of it. I felt like I was like in another planet.
So what gave you courage? What gave you strength in those first many months while you were just getting the hang of speaking English?
I feel like those kids inspire me. They didn't kill my spirit.
Okay.
I think they
felt
weren't
challenged, maybe?
Exactly. I felt challenged, and I said to myself, I gotta get through this because I can't do this. So that's why I said to myself, I'm gonna graduate from high school and then I'm gonna go to college. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
Were there any teachers who mentored you or guided you along the way?
Yes, in college, actually. Well, back in high school, I did have someone who assisted me throughout the process, and she encouraged me to go to college. I don't remember her name, but she was so understanding of my situation. And I also had other kids who, I'm not gonna say that all kids were mean to me. No, there were some kids that were good, and they helped me with my homework, with my readings, and just try to correct my English and the pronunciation and stuff like that. So I think those people assisted me or gave me the courage to keep going and to say, I can do this. I can do this.
So you have a master's degree in social work. What is your undergraduate degree in?
In social work too.
As well. What inspired you to take that career path?
I think it's just the person that I am. I'm a very resilient person. I have done so much in spite all the obstacles that I have come through, and I feel like my own life and story when I came to this country inspired me to be a social worker. Because I wanted to help people who are going through the same issues as I did. Unfortunately, I did not have a lot of support when I came to this country, other than the school and some friends, but I didn't have anyone else but my family, and my family felt the same. So I took over so many responsibilities because I was the one who wanted to succeed, and my family relied on me. Even though I didn't know the language, but my dad will ask me to come with him to the unemployment office to translate or interpret for him. And I'm like, Dad, how am I gonna do that if I don't even know? And he said, you have to do it. You have to do it. You can do it. And I did it. I don't know how.
It forced you to be an adult even before you were that age.
Yes, I felt that had a positive impact. Because that forced me to learn and to feel capable of doing anything. I think.
And it really had you kind of grow up early.
Yes, because as I said, I took over so many responsibilities because no one in the family knew English. My sister back then was 3, and my brother was, I think he was 18, and he wasn't even here in Michigan. He stayed in California. So I was like the adult in my family, doing translations, interpretation, making phone calls, setting up appointments for my parents, my little sister. So I was a student, I was a sister, I was a friend, I was sometimes like a mom, like a dad. I was everything at the same time. And this is a very common struggle of Latino kids. I'm going to talk about the Latino community because that's what I know.
Well, and I'd like to go there a little bit because you're working in the Grand Rapids community, but your emphasis is working with Latino families?
I work with anyone, but I mostly have Latino clients who are undocumented. Okay. So, and do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
All right. So, at work, as I said, I'm doing what I love. I work for HealthNet of West Michigan with the Community Healthcare Access Program and WellNet. And I provide my services to this population because I know what they're going through.
On a personal basis,
personal level and professional, because going back to those experiences that I have as a teenager, I experience the same issues that they are going through right now, so I can relate to them and I can better assist them because I already went through that and I know how the system works.
And you have both the bilingual, bicultural
and bicultural,
skills,
exactly.
Understanding where they are. Because I did want to touch on that a little bit. There are some stigmas in Latino culture about reaching out for help. Can you talk about that in relation to your work?
It's a struggle for mostly men to seek for help. For us women, it's very natural. It's okay for us, but for men, it's not like that because they are supposed to be the macho, el macho de la casa, be the strong person for their kids, their spouses. But once they get to know you and once they develop this relationship and they know and they feel that you are their friend, they open up. And I'm telling you this because of experience. I work with quite a few Latino men who apparently were the macho typical stereotype. But sometimes men use machismo, or they feel, or they look like they are the strong, because it's like a protection. It's like a shell.
Kind of a
For
self-protection,
like a
really.
self-protection, for exactly, because they have such a big responsibility over
And
their
really,
shoulders.
in a second language, in a second culture, if they're not very fluent, if they don't know the ropes, there's a kind of loss of personal dignity, I think.
Exactly. So that's why they have to keep being the macho. Like,
Deflect.
I can do anything. I can do this. I can do that. I need no help. But we all need help, and they are the ones who need more help because they are less likely to seek for help.
Sure.
So with my experiences in the program that I work with or for, I have succeeded to break the barrier, because once they get to know me, who I am, and how I am, and how I treat them, and how I make them feel, they change, and they accept my help.
Which has to be a really rewarding feeling for you.
It is really, really rewarding. As you might know, social work, we don't earn tons of money.
It's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous, but we are, I feel so rewarded when I got back home from work, because I have had so many successful stories that I feel this is like my reward. I'm getting paid because I'm making an impact in my community.
And ultimately, it's all about community health. Because if some
Exactly.
segments of the community are struggling, then the community as a whole struggles.
Yeah.
Whether it's education or health,
Health,
mental health,
mental- yeah, that-
access to appropriate services.
Yeah, the typical client that I work with is uninsured, poor. They live in poor neighborhoods. They live in poor neighborhoods. They struggle to keep up with bills,
Sure.
rent. Transportation is a big issue in our community, as well as housing.
So if you can act as a liaison to connect those people to resources,
Exactly.
then you're doing a great thing. We're going to have to wrap up in just a minute, but I had one more question. You've been doing some really great work recently with the Hispanic Center of Western
Yes.
Michigan and the support group. Can you tell us about that group?
Yes, I run this psychoeducational support group for Latina women who are or who identify as a lesbian, bisexual, and transgender. And I came up with this idea of having this community service to my community, because we lack of services like this. There is nothing for us in the community that assists the LGBTQ community. So it's very important for me, the job that I'm doing, or the mission that I'm doing in my community, because this program educates women of color, in this case Latina, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender, and empower them as well, because
There is in gender among the LGBTQ community, there are stigmas, and there's some fear about reaching out in general.
out.
But I think
Exact-
especially in Latino culture, that's
yes,
more awkward.
like the layers are like 100 layers, because besides being undocumented, they are women and they are gay.
So we're talking about several levels down.
Several
the
levels down.
hierarchy.
Exactly. So with this program, what I have done and what I have assisted them with is with the connection to community services, so they don't feel alone. and they feel like they also have the right to get access to healthcare, behavioral health services. I also bring in community speakers so they learn about the community programs and services that are available to them. So they also feel welcome to these organizations and institutions. And I also, we do fun stuff. We are going to have a potluck in December for Christmas, and we are just there for them to assist them and just to make them feel that there is someone in the community that cares for them.
So if people want to get in contact with you to learn more about the program at the Hispanic Center, how would they do that?
They can call me, and they are welcome to join, and it's in Spanish as well.
Awesome.
But we can also do English.
Fantastic.
Anyone is welcome.
Super, super. Well, that's going to do it for our time today, but I want to thank you so much for coming by the studio to talk with us about some really important stuff you're doing in the community.
Thank you. Gracias.
De nada.
So I did love theater, and I did love acting, and I was an artist. But I didn't have the whole gotta dance sensibility that people think of.
Right on key.